What timeline is this? What timeline are we in right now? One of the craziest collaborations is happening. One of the most beloved studios, Kyoto Animation, is collaborating with none other than Weekly Shonen Jump. Yeah, if this wasn't on my screen right now, I wouldn't believe it either. If it weren't for the fact that I watched Kyoto Animation's live stream or premiere of this announcement, I wouldn't believe it. It's just so out of left field. But yes, Ruri Dragon is coming. An adaptation of Ruri Dragon is coming, and that right there enough has me extremely excited. But having Kyoto Animation working on it at the same time, it's like a match made in heaven. I mean, we all know why. Made Dragon. We all know why. Miss Kobayashi Dragon made that happened. But no, this came after a little bit of teasing. Kyoto Animation was posting like these little like screenshots of like, you know, these calendar marks all leading up to the 28th, which, yes, as some would know and as we know now, is the birthday of Ruri. So it makes sense why, if this is the date that the announcement happens, of course, it's going to be for Ruri Dragon. But we didn't really have an idea of when the countdown ended. It was just a count up in the calendar up into the 28th. But yes, that all kind of built up into them releasing this one little video of a clock. And one of the hands ends up eventually getting to the point where it just has Weekly Shonen Jump's icon on there. And it's like, everybody's going, what is this? Kyoto Animation and Weekly Shonen Jump? What could that possibly be? Now, as I thought about it, made sense. When I think Weekly Shonen Jump, trying to think of the different series that I've actually read out there, yeah, Ruri Dragon eventually came to mind, and it's like, okay, that works because of Miss Kobayashi Dragon made. But that was like the hope. But other than that, it was like a little bit of a fear there, just because, you know, what else could they adapt? Are they going to start getting into shonen? I think there was a lot of people that had fear of that. Not that there's anything wrong with shonen in particular, the genre itself, or at least the demographic that Weekly Shonen Jump goes for, but you typically think of, like, you know, battlers and stuff like that when you think Weekly Shonen Jump, so it's like, I really don't want, you know, Kyoto Animation to get in that kind of stuff. Kyoto Animation, for a lot of people, is, you know, it's cute girls doing cute things, it's slice of life, it's drama, it's, you know, girl band, that kind of stuff. It's not battlers. They do it, and whenever they do it, it's really good. So if you're a big shonen fan, or, you know, battler shonen fan, you would be like in heaven if Kyoto Animation did your stuff, because go watch battle scenes from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. The studio goes nuts. But there's a lot of fears here exactly what they would end up adapting, so it's nice that it comes to this, just because this is more in their wheelhouse. This is something that actually works for them. Why that is, for those that don't know what Ruri Dragon is about, it opens up with this girl who wakes up one morning and she looks in the mirror, she's doing her brushing her teeth, and suddenly she realizes she has these horns growing out of her head. She goes to her mom and says, "Mom, what is this?" And mom's like, "Oh, that's, yeah, your dad's a dragon." So, you know, that comes with the territory. Didn't even know that she had a father as a dragon, but that's news to her. But it kind of follows her life as she just kind of deals with the fact that she is half dragon, and that all these different traits are now coming to light. The fact that she's growing horns, everybody wants to touch them. They're kind of like, well, that's kind of weird or whatever. Eventually she starts, you know, breathing out fire breath. That kind of stuff starts to come up. Little traits from dragons start kind of happening within her body and externally as she kind of, you know, spits out fire. And she has to learn how to deal with it. Learn how to adapt to these new traits that are coming to her and sort of how it affects people around her. For the most part, so far, what I've read of like 6 or 7 chapters, it's been pretty chill. There's like a lot of, again, you know, coming of age kind of themes to it. The idea of adapting and dealing with anxieties that come from these different things. It's very kind of slice of life so far. And that kind of, again, like I said earlier, sort of plays into why I think Kyoto Animation of all studios could really handle this well, because those little subtleties of storytelling is better handled by somebody like Kyoto Animation. They know how to do those little mundane moments, give it a little extra charm that really brings it to life. And then, yes, there's of course the joke to be made here that, you know, the studio that did Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid, which pretty much ended its adaptation with a human and a dragon pretty much getting married, it's fitting for them to do the sequel, right? The sequel where a human and a dragon have a child, and the child is dealing with the fact they have these dragon traits. It all works, right? It's great. Again, like I said before, it's a match made in heaven. I'm really happy to see this news and excited to see what Kyoto Animation does with it. Now, yes, there's of course a lot of fears that some of the fans of Ruri Dragon might have in the idea that Kyoto Animation has a habit of kind of doing their own thing. I mean, it's a shocker to begin with that Kyoto Animation is doing something outside of their studio. Not that this is anything new, because they've done, you know, Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid, they've done things like Nishijo. They do, you know, adaptations of works outside of their company. But typically a lot of their stuff is inside. It's stuff that they do their own publishing for. For those who don't know, they do like this little award ceremony thing where people submit their written work, and the best written work ends up getting a novel print for it and an anime adaptation, things like Violet Evergarden. A lot of their stuff is internal. They do definitely keep themselves inside, and that's obviously a good thing because a studio can, do their own producing of it. They get all the money for it. They're able to sell the merch for it themselves. They handle everything in-house, and thus everything is theirs. Whenever you branch outside of the studio, that's where you're sort of getting into other people having their say in things. And so it's kind of a rarity for Kyoto Animation themselves to do that. And on top of that, having it be something as big as Weekly Shonen Jump. It does make me kind of wonder if there will eventually be a story that will come out about how this happened, why they chose Ruri Dragon, who made that call. I'm assuming that somebody within Kyoto Animation really loves this work, and they're like, I want this. I want this project. I want to work on this project. Let's get this property. Let's adapt it. Who do we need to call? I'm sure, the folks over there at Weekly Shonen Jump, they're like, sure, hell yeah. Shueisha's like, yeah, let's do this. Now, big question mark is date. We don't quite know yet. The only thing that's been announced so far is the fact that Ruri Dragons is getting an anime adaptation. We don't have a date set for it yet. But we do have sort of an idea that it could potentially be 2027. And this is not for sure. This could still be 2026. And that's mainly the idea that, yes, they had their whole trailer was essentially going through what was happening in 2025 with things like City of the Animation, Maid Dragon movie, that kind of stuff. And then it went into 2026 and it started talking about their project they're doing in 2026. And then when it got to essentially the big announcement, it stopped here and it goes into another year, but then it just ends up being 20 logo. 20 logo. Like, it's not even saying 2027, it's saying 20 logo. So apparently it's the year of Weekly Shonen Jump. I don't know. Either way, this sort of implies the idea that it could be 2027, that's going to be the year of doing this kind of adaptations, and again, could just be playing into the joke of this being the time for us doing this for Ruri Dragon. It seems like they're putting a lot of emphasis in this collaboration. Either way, the collaboration seems to be the date, which I could assume could possibly be 2027. Either way, this is kind of a cute little announcement trailer here, showing the whole thing here. But that would be my expectation, probably 2027. It does seem like it has just enough material in the manga to do a single core. Whether or not, again, they decide to do changes to it to do their own thing, that's something we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We also had a celebratory little art was posted by the mangaka saying they're kind of excited. It's cool to see when a mangaka or author is actually excited about who's working on it. I'm sorry, if I was a mangaka and Kyoto Animation handling my work, I'd be beside myself with excitement. But yeah, cute little art here. Really cool stuff. But anyways, that's the news. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I'm super excited for this. Cannot wait for it. Even though, again, we have to wait like probably a year for it, but I'll be here for it. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys found this video informative. If you did, hit that like button down below. If you like this content, you want to support it more, become a member of the channel. Until next time, y'all take care.